Hello, Wood here, Glenwood. I'm hoping that you're going to buy one or two of my books of short stories, but I understand that before you dive into one, you'd like to hear a little more about my life journey that brought me here. Not just as a writer, but as someone who spent a lifetime curious about the world. So from wandering ancient cities to preserving antique objects that carry stories of their own, my life has been shaped by a deep fascination with history, human nature, and the quiet beauty of overlooked things. One of my early recollections is of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in England. After the war restrictions, it was lovely to have our hearts uplifted by such a wonderful spectacle. We bought a television just for the purpose of watching it. And this tree, which grew near my home, is what we call a monkey puzzle tree, an araucaria from Chile in South America. This tree will become important, as we'll see later on, for sowing a fascination with trees of all types. But then I left to go up to St Andrews University in Scotland. It wasn't always frozen and snowing. That's just how it appears in this particular photograph. But it was there that I learned, a combination of science and the humanities. Isaac Newton was one of my great inspirations because he was able to understand the nature of light and also appreciate its beauty when white light was split up into a rainbow using a prism. But I didn't know what to do after graduating from St Andrews, so, I did the obvious thing. I flew off to South America, to Bolivia. There's the university building in La Paz in Bolivia. And in fact, I was shot on that very corner. Not killed, but just a warning shot from a sniper that during the night the university had been occupied and I should stay out, which I did. But my students were very much involved in protesting with the miners or whoever was trodden and abused. There was a solidarity. And during such times I would often go travelling, and what better to have a sleepover in Machu Picchu in Peru. You're not allowed to do this anymore, but then it was possible to get away with it and watch this dawn breaking. Wonderful experience, as was meeting the people. I always enjoyed meeting local people wherever I went in my travels. But then finally England beckoned, so I returned back to Oxford to pursue my studies, and there's a picture of Brasenose College where I spent a few wonderful years studying further and being inspired further. And you'll see in this picture the fabulous Oxford almond tree, which flowers in winter with snow on the ground. It's interesting that I was studying science in my college there in Brasenose, but always fascinated by the beauty of nature, even in a city. And so it seemed natural to graduate into the mysterious world of holography, creating images out of light. And I like to think I was one of the pioneers of commercializing that technology. In a sense, it gave me a passport to travel worldwide. All the usual places, the Taj Mahal in India, Petra in Jordan, that rose-red city, half as old as time, and the Terracotta Army in Xi'an in China, to name but three. And all the time collecting souvenirs. Here we see the walking cane of President Alvear of Argentina from the 1930s, a symphony in damascened metal inlay, and a Han Dynasty box, lacquered box from a tomb in China, 2,000 years old, and a more recent 16th, 17th century miniature cabinet, beautifully inlaid with parquetry, and years later to appear on the front cover of one of my books, Antiques Beyond the Appraisal. But it would be remiss not to continue the theme of the trees. Here we see when I visited California for the first time, they said, "What would you like to do on a spare weekend?" And I said, "Well, see the giant sequoias, the giant redwoods." And they really are huge. Photographs cannot capture them. But here's an attempt to see one of them. And next to it, the Tree of Life in Oaxaca, in Mexico. So huge, it's almost inconceivable. These are enormous trees of great age, but in England we have similar ones, and here's the Robin Hood tree in Nottingham, which is now so old it requires some assistance to stand up, but this is supposedly where Robin Hood hid from the wicked Sheriff of Nottingham on one occasion. And here we have a very poignant tree. It's a Callery pear, to be seen at the site of the 9/11 bombings in New York. This was the only plant to survive that terrible experience. And here it is, the survivor tree in flower on one of my visits, showing it to visitors who come to see me in America from time to time. And finally, a touching note from a tree in Japan, you could say on life support. Notice that it's being fed nutritious liquids intravenously, so to speak, to keep it going. Trees, as they reach great age, need support, as do we all.
18th century.
I could say circa 1750.
Okay, so you can look at Glenn and say that.
In conclusion, I'd like to return to my latest book,
Okay, great.
which has on the front of it a picture of this beautiful antique cabinet of curiosities, which starred in an edition of the Antiques Roadshow and was given a formal appraisal. But here it has its own story told in the book, which takes us beyond the appraisal. It has been called elegant, philosophical, and eerily timeless. Each story opens like a hidden drawer in a lost cabinet of wonders, and it can be purchased through my website, glenpwood.com, or indeed directly from Amazon. Thank you for listening.